Welcome everyone, great that you're here in the Master Teacher Tape group. It's really lovely to do another episode, so to speak, to step into this adventure with Master Teacher. And today we have to change our mind about time, but we first have to discover what we're actually doing with time. And that's very interesting. It's going to be a very revealing moment together in that sense, because it is like the way that you use time is very interesting. You literally continuously see something that's already over, and still you believe that you're in time. So you play a trick on yourself that is interesting to discover, and without really knowing it, that's even more surprising. But now that is going to be revealed, so that is quite something. And it's great to see how Master Teacher performs this, you could say, insertion, or this intervention, almost like this, in your thinking, how he comes to you, showing you this, what you're actually doing, how normal that is to you, and how you're not recognizing it, but have a possibility to discover it. And if you look at the idea of social media, it becomes very obvious. Like, what are you watching on social media? What are you watching if you scroll? For instance, on your telephone, like how many people are doing this is unbelievable. It's like the whole population seems to be performing the act of scrolling, going through timelines, going through things. But what are you seeing? Obviously, you're seeing something that is already over, right? There's nothing present in it, nothing, like absolutely nothing. So it's all past that you're scrolling, and you say like, oh, this is a really interesting channel, it's great. This is great past, wonderful past. It doesn't seem to be over at all. You bring it to life in your imagination, and you really get something out of it. Like, it satisfies in a certain sense, at least very shortly, because then I was like, well, this channel I really don't like. Let's do another one. And so so you do it with everything. It's amazing. It's amazing. Whether that's a so-called spiritual channel on YouTube, EV Hub or something, or who knows what you're watching, like that, still you're watching something that's over. So it might point at something that is real. It might point at something, like, hopefully it's pointing at that, otherwise you're lost in time. Now, more of these insights will come today in the meeting, but it's so actual, that's unbelievable. Now, okay, so this was the one thing that I want to bring in right away, because that's really something we're looking at. And the other thing is really like seeing what's going on in the world, seeing what's going on in the world as a representation of the darkness that you have believed yourself to be. And why am I saying it this way? It's like, it's good sometimes to really take a look at what's going on in the world. So you open your news app and you actually see what's going on, the incredible conflict, incredible darkness, in fact, that is being exhibited, based on lies, based on conflict, based on injustice, and on, and hurting your brother, like real darkness. And seeing that that's a representation of your own human thinking, it's like this whole frame of reference is what we call this world. And that is so dark, that's unbelievable. And that is literally what you have used as your world. Literally, none of these thoughts are alien to you. You are familiar with all of these. It's literally like you only get a representation of that within your own mind that is present, otherwise you couldn't be seeing it, even though it's over. You're looking at the past, luckily. So it is over. It is done. It's a done deal. It's over. That sets you free of it to a certain extent. If you realize that there's an alternative, and that alternative is the only reality that there is. In other words, the necessity to be shaken up and say, like, this cannot be it. None of this can be so. I'm no longer, like, I've no interest in that any longer. I want to know who I truly am. Because this is so painful to watch, and this is so painful to recognize as my insanity, that I was thinking and believing it was real. That is just unheard of. Now here's the thing with darkness, it's like the darkness can never become total. Like darkness and totality don't exist together. So it's like that is your literally your way out. So there's always, even though it seems to be so dark, but there's always a spark of light. There's always a spark of light. Now this is seriously in your awakening very essential to realize. Like things can turn so dark and so incredible, impossible, and so lonely and so hurtful, but it will never be total. In the moment it would come to totality, it literally turns into light. And this is really what is occurring. It's like you see that all of that will dissolve in you, of course, like all darkness will dissolve by just this little spark of light. Literally, darkness cannot coexist with light. Now this just invites you, in fact, to come to an urgency to awaken from what you have made. Like you have to seriously take a look at it. It's like, what is it that I'm holding on to, thinking that I get something out of it, while it is literally representing death, something that's already over. Okay, so that's another part that will come in pretty straightforward by Master Teacher 2, and in our preparation for the video we will take a look at that too. Not to observe darkness, but more like realizing what it is that you're actually, for instance, holding on to, or what you still are considering even, or place yourself into. So that's after the meditation. So we have a contemplation today, which is a pretty intense lesson. The lesson of today, the last 3 paragraphs we use as a contemplation. And this, the lesson of today is there's no cruelty in God and none in me, and which is a great lesson. So the last 3 paragraphs are very helpful to contemplate. So we will take time to just listen to that and let it come to us in all quiet. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. Lesson 170. The choice you make today is certain, for you look for the last time upon this bit of carven stone you made, and call it God no longer. You have reached this place before, but you have chosen that this cruel God remain with you in still another form, and so the fear of God returned with you. This time you leave it there, and you return to a new world, unburdened by its weight, beheld not in its sightless eyes, but in the vision that your choice restored to you. Now do your eyes belong to Christ, and He looks through them. Now your voice belongs to God and echoes His. And now your heart remains at peace forever. You have chosen him in place of idols, and your attributes, given by your Creator, are restored to you at last. The call for God is heard and answered. Now as fear made way for love, as God himself replaces cruelty. Father, we are like you. No cruelty abides in us, for there's none in you. Your peace is ours, and we bless the world with what we have received from you alone. We choose again and make our choice for all our brothers, knowing they are one with us. We bring them your salvation as we have received it now. And we give thanks for them who render us complete. In them we see your glory, and in them we find our peace. Holy are we, because your holiness has set us free, and we give thanks. Amen. Thank you for joining in the quiet to just realize something. So coming back to what I shared before is like the images that you're seeing, that you're scrolling through when you're using your smartphone, for instance, and go into endless timelines, are all images that are over. Obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be able to post it. So it's, you can say this too with, I refer to the YouTube channels, like if you watch this as a YouTube video and you think that is going to tell you something, then you're still believing that the past can tell you something. Now, if something is touched in you, if something is stirred up in you as a recognition within you, then it comes to life. Then it can be literally be present. But that has in fact nothing to do anymore with the images that you are seeing. Now this becomes more and more sensible. Like you start to see this. We prayed for this too in this meditation that we do. Like you literally pray for that, to see that, and you recognize that, and you, so like you're not fooled by images any longer. You don't have to be fooled by images any longer, unless you want it. Then it becomes a conscious choice, and that's perfectly all right, because you can release that. It's like perfectly all right in the sense of it's not going to add anything to you. It's not going to make anything real. No, you will have to release it. So it's just a bit of work, in fact, to do that. Now, if you stay in your open-mindedness, in your open heart, and recognizing that your soul is radiating all the light all through the universe, then what is your reason to pick up any old idea, you could say? It's like there's nothing in your open mind, there's nothing that wants to do that, really. So that is interesting to see that. So yeah, I'm going to introduce a couple of ideas that are in the talk that we listened to today with Master Teacher, directly from the transcript. So one of us made the transcript. I really appreciate that, because now we can use it easily and ponder it or stay with it for a moment, listening to it, let it affect us and help us to recognize, oh my God, I only have to say, release this. I only have to let it go. I only have to, in fact, recognize what is as the truth. It's like that is the occurrence. Now, I see your chat, so I'm distracted. I'm gonna see what it is. Okay. Yes, indeed. Recognition is in timelessness. Yeah, absolutely. That's timeless. It has nothing to do with time. Now, this is interesting because the whole tape is about time, about well, let me start sharing some of the sheets because they're very helpful in support of discovery, of changing your mind about time. So this is from the tape that we're going to listen to. Now here's the problem. Real simple. Jesus says, you invented time, but you do strange things with it. Your space is time. Your space is time. And this is a real interesting expression. Your space is time. And I'll start right out of the top of this. The space is the distance between events and observed events within the nomenclature of the imaging of the perceptual mind. Now that sounds complicated, but it's very clear. Your space is time. Your space is time. So this is in relationship with the idea of cause and effect. So you create space between cause and effect, thinking that, well, this is the idea, hopefully that will be realized sometime. Not realizing that, in fact, by the idea is the realization immediate. And so this, your whole world, in other words, your whole world is literally built out of cause and effect relationships that seem to have nothing to do with one another, but that you are trying to put together as your world. So this is a very creative act of mind that you're actually performing. So you have things with a certain history. This book I got 10 years ago, and this I just bought in the supermarket. Just today I bought it in the supermarket. And you think they can be in the same space, and they can be, you literally knitted together with your time tags into the same space. You literally think that that is what it is. Now this goes much further than that. So it becomes obvious that the thing that you're looking at is total chaos. And this was just one of the things. You think they exist in the same time, the book and the glasses, for instance. Now this is one thing. The other thing is this. I come back to my phone, scrolling. What am I actually doing? What am I performing as act of mind? What am I seeing? The past. I see the past, right? What do I recognize that to be? Nothing. It's meaningless. It's empty. It's like it literally is nothing in itself. So your mind must give it meaning, is what it says in the first lessons too. It's like your mind must give it meaning, but it doesn't have any meaning. Now what do you do when you look at something that doesn't have any meaning? You actually don't want to deal with it. You have no interest in it, really. Unless you make something out of it that it isn't, but you have to make something out of it because it is an old idea. It is already gone. It's over. It's old. You could say it's like way over. So it's never going to bring you any fulfillment, but you're occupied with it for just a moment. And when you're not occupied with it and you're not interested in any longer, what do? What is the action of mind? If you say, look straight into your emptiness, you could say, what do you do as a human being? Pick up another thought. Oh, here's my earbuds are right here. Now I use those and I can listen to all the things that I want to listen to. In other words, you're filling one moment up because it is empty. You fill it up with something in order to give it like a substance. You're literally bring it to life in your imagination. You use everything for that, and it becomes very obvious. I think the telephone is like the perfect example. With you scroll, and you're just like, yeah, it's not so interesting anymore. I read about this war, and isn't there something else going on in the world, and I'll focus on that. It's like this. It's like the human mind becomes, yes, satisfied or saturated with the news, and yeah, it becomes literally meaningless. Now you pick another subject and bring that to life in your, very important, like really engaging in it. It's like, oh my God, it's so incredible what I read here and what is going on in the world, based on things that are over, on images that don't even exist any longer, that is all past. It is not the news at all. It's old, like it's very old. Now here, what do I do when I feel this saturation setting in? There's another thing going on. Why? Like, look at the world. It invents literally things to occupy itself with, whether that's tariffs on import, or whether that's a war, or whether that's poverty, whether that's, you name it, in order to keep itself busy with something that's already over, and invent new things, so-called new things, that saturate even before they started. You're already done with it. You don't even want to be in relationship with that, but you don't know what else you could choose. This is the situation that you are in as a human being. It's very tragic in that sense. It's like it's literally hunting itself in search for meaning, literally for meaning. Like it cannot find it. It looks for justice. It looks for meaning. It looks for love. It looks for all these things, and it cannot find it. And it becomes angry at the world. It picks up an idea as religion, to at least lean against religion, and at least to use that together against something else, and thinking that you're right and all this like that. We have been seeing that, and that becomes very saturated too. Like it becomes such an old idea. Now this is why we meet at the end of time, and that's exactly what we're doing here. It's like we meet at the end of time. We have seen this. This has never satisfied us. We never wanted this, really. We wanted it a little bit, but never totally. And that's the thing. You don't even know what totality is anymore. Now here, in this revolution of mind, you could say, in this new discovery that is going on within you, you say like, the hell with darkness. I want light. I don't want this any longer. Like there's a light in me that I want to recognize within myself and connect with like nothing else. This is the only thing I want. You invented time, but do strange things with it. And that doesn't stop. As a human being, you don't stop doing that. Your space is time, and I'll start right out of the top of this. The space is the distance between events or observed events, like literally images within the nomenclature of the imaging of perceptual mind. Without getting into the notation that you project form from you, which is nothing but thought. Form is thought, and that's where the transition from time into space comes in. You literally make form, which is nothing but thought. You literally crystallize your thoughts into objects, into objectivity, into location. Isn't it? Thought of what? A different time. A tree, a house, a bird, a human being. A thought of what? A different time. And you hold a distance between your past and your future thoughts. You are faced with the dilemma of the texture or the quality of the associate thoughts between the image association of the consciousnesses who are actually and have established themselves independent of each other, and how they attempt to bring together the creative notations of the reality of the now. Yeah, we try to bring it all together, so at least that there's some kind of common ground in which we can meet with one another, even though we all have our own world and we live in a total chaos where truth can change and where love can go, and terror can enter in and injustice can exist. See, that's a very strange way of dealing with your brother, for one thing. But see, it's like how you bring this together in your mind is unbelievable. That is so chaotic. Now, since this obviously involves perceptual thought, and I'm perceptually thinking about it, it would be increasingly obvious, now that's a lot of obviousness, that the only manner in which you would change the texture of thinking, okay, would be by a transformation of your mind. You're not going to do it any other way. But that makes total sense, doesn't it? Isn't that obvious? It is always so interesting to see. It's like you see the whole construct of his thinking. It's like, yeah, if you really would dissect it, it would make sense too. But it is one obvious connotation upon another another obvious connotation, and it becomes very much like layered and abstract, like deeply abstract, which is incredible. Now that tells you something without your understanding. It does tell you something, like it stirs something up. You feel that during the talk. It's like, not that these words are doing that, but the creativeness and the expressiveness of the essence of what is being shared is really igniting. It ignites a recognition in you, like a light in you. You have a recognition with this. Otherwise, you would not be interested in listening to this for 1 minute. So that's the interesting part. It's like, beyond all these words, beyond all these intellectual considerations, seemingly intellectual considerations, and all this construct of thought, there's a light behind it that you recognize and that you feel attracted to. Now that's the great part. And you can trust that, because here's the thing. It says you're not able to do anything with this. You're not able to figure this out. So the only necessity is a transformation of mind. Otherwise you would keep using the same attributes as you use in your humanness to try to get out of your humanness. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that you succeeded in that very well. In other words, you failed completely. And that, which is great, and you fail over and over. You can't literally help yourself in that sense of applying and using the same imagination, the same images, the same way of dealing with your situation, staying in it and not knowing how to get out of it. So a transformation of mind is a necessity. Changing your mind about time comes down to, in fact, experiencing time in a whole new way. A way that is given to you and not made by you and not invented by you. But it tells you everything. It recognizes the essence of you. You come into the experience of a new you that is not related to time any longer or to past images. And this is like a complicated way of expressing you're being reborn into a light and love that you truly are and always have been. Because this is really interesting to go through this. To me, it's like fantastic how beautiful this is. You literally invent through the manufacturing, through the association of ideas contained within you, time. There isn't any question that you did. Isn't that amazing? You can see very plainly that you can do that. Time then is what? Only in your mind, individually, in associate thoughts. Time is only in your mind. It doesn't happen anywhere else. Like it's not set as in reality. No, it's only happening in your mind. In your mind, time can slip away while it at the same time drags in my mind. This is a human condition. Now, in the Course, Jesus will say, if you keep a distance between your past and your future in continual sequential thoughts, you're really nothing. Obviously, you can see very plainly that if you're just thought, and that thought is gone, you just keep replacing it with another thought. And you sequence it within a framework of, to a real degree, of your association of memories within yourself. Well, this is what I say as an example. I use the scrolling, like scrolling. You're done with one thought, and then you pick another one. So like there's a past thought. You can see very plainly that if you're just thought and that thought is gone, you just keep replacing it with another thought, with another image, with another object, with another place, with another who knows what. Like that just keeps going on, because that literally never brings you any wholeness. It never brings you that what you recognize yourself to be in essence of you. So this is continuously going on, and it becomes very obvious. It's like at the same time you distance yourself and from everything else. You distance yourself because you're so obsessed filling in the gap, so to speak, filling in the gap so that you don't feel this emptiness, that you're literally totally upset, in fact, in trying to continue the imagining that you do, believing this world to be true and making it real, even though you see that the images you replace it with, they're old, they're already past, they're already gone before you even started. Now this is great stuff, and so this is only in the first 5 minutes of the talk, so just to give you an idea. So there's a lot of exploration to be done, and it's great to tap into the frequency of now, which is really what it is, like come into presence and see that the words that are being shared are literally dissolving into that continuously, just increasing the light and the frequency and the fire within you that literally obliterates the darkness that was there before. Now this is serious healing here. This is such deep level, high frequency healing, just because of that. So this is my invitation to you to listen to it like that, like allow the frequency that you're tapping into to totally affect you, because in that, the darkness that was in your mind literally is being shined away. Like literally it has no place to go but to dissolve into the nothingness where it came from. Now that's true healing. And it brings presence more and more and more into our awareness up to a point where it becomes total and your mind is whole. What an invitation. What an incredible possibility. Well, this is your possibility right now. So let's listen to Master Teacher.
Okay, let's look at one thing real clearly and emphatically, no matter what you're doing in regard to this awakening, it involves time because you invented it. Perception is time. The distance between events. Now, here's the problem, real simply. Jesus says you invented time, but you do strange things with it. Your space is time, and I'll start right out at the top of this. Your space is the distance between events or observed events within the nomenclature of the imaging of the perceptual mind. Okay? We must observe texture, would be a good word, in the relationship of our ideas in order to expand our perceptual association to the congruity of image reality. The teachings of a meditative notation are to, and we'll use the vernacular, to bring you into the now. Now, is there anyone here that doesn't understand, or whose perceptual mind will not see that now is the only time there is? That really isn't hard to do. When you project thoughts, okay, from your mind into the future, you are still making an admission that you are here and that you are now. You may cover that with the notations of linear time, or as Jesus would say, see in the Course, or we would teach sequential time. Okay. The distance between your associate thoughts in regard to the construction of you, of your mind, within that framework. Okay. The question would never be whether you do this or not, because existence, obviously, is based on associate thought. Okay. Without getting into the notation that you project form from you, okay, which is nothing but thought, isn't it? Thought of what? A different time, okay, a tree, a house, a bird, a human being. A thought of what? Different time, and hold a distance between your past and future thoughts. Okay, well, this is what perceptual thought is, and there isn't going to be any real disagreement with this. The immediate problem that occurs is, once you have the form, and there's no question that you have the form, and you can't get away from having the form, okay, you are faced with the dilemma of the texture or the quality of associate thoughts between the image association of the consciousnesses who are actually have established themselves independent of each other, and how they attempt to bring together the creative notations of the reality of the now. Now, since this obviously involves perceptual thought, and I'm perceptually thinking about it, it would be increasingly obvious that the only manner in which you would change the texture of thinking, okay, would be by a transformation of your mind. You're not going to do it any other way. It doesn't make any difference how many thoughts you would be together. Okay. Jesus has a couple sentences in the Course says levels do not communicate. He's made an allowance for levels of consciousness. So what? Okay. The only level of consciousness there really could ever be is the one that you are at this moment. Okay. You literally invent, okay, through the manufacturing, through the association of ideas contained within you, time. There isn't any question that you do. Isn't that amazing? You can see very plainly that you can do that. Time then is what? Only in your mind. Okay? Individually, in associate thoughts. What you're saying then, or what I'm teaching, is that I can take that image, okay, and bring it together in a higher degree of texture association, a wider range of space within the whole framework of space-time thought. Yes. I'm telling you that your mind is capable of doing this. Absolutely, how would it not be? It does it all the time. But it only does it for the moment that it brings the sequentiality of its associations of ideas into the single framework. Now, in the Course, Jesus will say, if you keep a distance between your past and your future in continual sequential thoughts, you're really no thing, obviously. You can see very plainly that if you're just thought, and that thought is gone, you just keep replacing it with another thought. And you sequence it within a framework of, to a real degree, of your association memories with yourself. This is the I Ching. This would be what you just call the Akashic record. You got this, your genetic association with probability, isn't it? Since you're sitting somewhere within the whole framework of space-time. What a strange thing to do, though. You individually take these ideas that are in your mind, construct a reality, literally, okay, in association with the form, and give it meaning. My whole teaching from a new range of consciousness, this is Master Jesus again, is I must tell you that it has no meaning. Not because it does not have meaning to you, in fact it establishes your meaning, but because it's not real. You see? It simply is gone. It's gone away. No matter how many times you would bring that up within the framework of your previous association, if you remember it and it's gone, you simply live within that framework of association. I'm telling you, you can change your past by changing your mind. If you change your past by remembering, you'll change your future. This has to be done within your mind, doesn't it? Everybody got this? All right, you don't have to use this in a religious sense. I'd love to take the religious vernacular out of what I teach. You will not get this from the idea of mind association without involving time. You can't. The ludicrousy, then, of separate mind within a framework of what appears to be longevity constructing its own death will be funny to you. And that would include the earth. That includes 1,000,000 years. I can't teach this. Listen, if we're going to change the fabric of time, okay, actually what we're doing is changing the distance between the beginning and the end of it. We're simply taking all of the thoughts that were in association with all of time and pinching them together. In order to pinch them together in perceptual mind, you have to change the essence or the quality of your thinking. You got that? That's what all I really teach is to do that. Huh? There will be a point in your mind where through the accumulation of quantity, which is nothing but full purpose, okay, if you really get purposeful, and this is the teaching, to bring about this transformation, the quantity of time is accumulated to the point where the texture or the quality of the time actually shifts. Primitive man was much aware of this. Just incidentally, primitive man would set up a Sabbath. He was absolutely aware that at 1 day a week, the quality of time was different. Why? Because accumulatively, everybody hearing me a little bit, you guys hearing this a little bit? And on that day, he would literally do nothing human. And this is the teachings that have come down to Blue Laws and all the other things that you don't adhere to. Okay, he knew that he was functioning within a framework of time, and he also knew that on the seventh day, God rested. I can do this anyway. You guys are hearing this a little bit. So that there would actually be a difference in the quality of the time. The old Quakers that would get together for 7 hours in church were aware of this. This has been lost now, incidentally. We become more mechanized. But the idea that you could come together, okay, in a congruity of associate thought for a 7-hour period in worship was literally bringing together space-time. Yes. It's exactly the same thing as the year of the Jubilee. When the Jewish calendar would say every 100 years we're going to take all the thoughts we've had, all the properties we've got, all of the so-called farms, all of the grain, we're going to throw it all back into the hopper and we're going to start all over. Okay? This is exactly the same idea as going to church once a week. Well, what I am directing you to is that if the texture or quality of your reality, literally your individual association with yourself, can be changed, okay, wouldn't it be beneficent to you to change it rather than remain in the conflict association of sequential time? Huh? Of course. Of course. Of course. Now, this is very difficult to press on the consciousness that is holding on to what? Its identity and its limited association. How can it express itself? Really, creation is only self-expression. If you, it's so obvious that if you limit within your own genetic framework the definition that you have given to form, you can't create. If Beethoven wrote his first symphony when he was 6 years old, he obviously did not construct limited associate form to do it. No matter how tempted you would think to believe he snuck into his uncle's manuscripts and somehow put the notes together, that is not the case. He changed the texture of the association of the perceptual thought. That's what creation is, of course. That's what masterpiece is. That's what genius is. That's what mind expanded is. And that's what you're doing. Hey, we're into time here, you guys. You got any more time for this? No, your time is up. Okay, once these thoughts begin to come to you, you can be walking along the street. This is Course in Miracles workbook. Like, see what you're supposed to do, guys out there that are supposedly doing this. You literally stop your sequential thinking. You change the quality of the time at that moment. You know what else will happen as you continue to do it? The perceptions you have outside yourself will change and you'll work miracles. I bet you, do you hear that? You think it's just contained within your own mind, dummies. It's not. The world is your creation. Come on. If time can be changed, space can be changed. The whole teaching would be there is no such thing as space except limited sequential time. When you change your mind, you literally change the events going on around you. Holy mackerel. It's not the observation of the limited bringing together of a miracle is what a miracle is. The miracle is changing of the total event in association with itself, with the totalness of it. Got it? All right. Are we recording here? Are you getting all this? Mm-hmm. What time do you have? I looked at these new little digital computer times. They've even taken space out of a clock. You see, a clock that has hands has space in it. It's like a sundial. It's like a horoscope. They've reduced that into an image of numbers that appear on a little. They just keep squeezing it down. Don't let them do it to you, brother. Back to sundials. We'll be back. I might as well leave this on. We have a lot of excitement about time, don't we? Well, where does God fit into it? What's God got to do with it? God is nothing but total time. Okay? You're the one that is constructing something, what, divine or something else, or separate from evilness. Okay? What could be evil except sequential time, which is possibility? Okay? The notation of possibility is fearful because it's an indication of something that can happen to you. Come on, guys. See how easy this gets then? Sure. It's not hard to do that. Don't compare, and it'll change. Don't compare at all, and it'll change completely. Real fundamental teaching. Is that the same as you want to back it off to forgiveness? Sure. You're nothing but a series of ideas, of conflictual associations. It has nothing to do with good or bad. Okay? It has nothing to do with, finally, with the thought forms that you have endowed with a moment's reality in order to hold on to your identity within the framework of space-time. Okay. Is this you, then, that's doing this? Yeah, why is that so hard? You've looked up at the sky last night and you saw a trillion stars, okay? And you go, oh, wow, look at me. Here I'm 3,000 billion separate forms here. And this is me. Come on, look what your mind is doing here. Why not just accept that you've constructed the earth? Hmm? The continual gathering, then, of those limited thoughts will give quality to them and will actually change the texture of your time. There is no other way to do this. You are in time. Okay. Jesus says that time, okay, and remembering, okay, perception are the same thing. And this is, of course, but just for a moment, it is the same thing, obviously. time in itself does nothing. It's the sense. You give time all the meaning that it has. Just as you give memory to remember all of the meaning that it has. It's given by you and your ideas. Now you can begin to see why, while this may be painful to you, that we, in association with our own apparent reality, the conglomeration of the, what you call a microcosm, we are not equal in time. Okay? We force equality on ourselves in our perceptual associations. When creative mind really begins to think, it expands vertically outside of the framework of the perceptual, which you would call mirage or image that's going on in perception. You call this genius. That's really what's happening to your minds here now, isn't it? Yeah, that's nice. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Teach that. Here's what you're faced with. If time is not sequential, and I am directing you to change this associate ideas that you have in the quality, the dimensions of your time, okay, each moment then must contain all of time. And of course it does. And if you will bring those moments together, this is really what the definition of a miracle would be. But nothing prevents you from bringing all of time together totally, each moment, and transcending your own mind or changing the whole relationship that you formerly had with yourself. This is called enlightenment. Is it bodily? Well, how would it not be bodily? Is it earthly? How would it not be earthly? Is it heavenly? How would it not be heavenly? It is you. It is your mind. What's the difference between solid and liquid and gaseous? All you have to do is reach out with your thoughts, and you can penetrate any form that you've established as a distance between you. You see how simple transcendentalism becomes then? And of course you can do that. We have a divine brother, Master John, who is John Frank, who is leaving now. He has to go, and he's very much aware that he's stepping into a what you would call a slower sequential time. There's going to be momentarily for him a little more distance between his thoughts because he's going to have to make allowances for thicker, I'm using these terms kind of interchangeably, or darker textures. Okay, there's not enough what you would call light shining on them. They're not fast enough. When Jesus says we're speeding up time, this is what he means. But go. We're changing the texture. Now, those of you listening to this tape will, and this is a notation that should be made, can detect a difference in the textures of your thinking when you listen to a higher emanation of energy responses in association with itself. This is the definition of a master or whole mind teaching. If you do that with the Course in Miracles, you would see immediately that the thought forms and patterns that are brought together by Master Jesus in the Course are not human thoughts. No matter how much the scribes are determined to pull these incredibly lovely, light, total concepts into some sort of framework of the limitation, they're not succeeding. It's becoming ludicrous. Somewhere along the line, somebody and the groups that are doing it now are going to have to look at it and say, hey, this is true reality. Okay. The reality we have at this moment can be transformed to a different framework of associated space-time. Yes. Now, I'm not going to get into the psychology of the resistance of that because obviously the limiting factor of what is termed death, okay, sequentiality, which you call aspects and degrees and intervals and waxing and waning are all part of perceptual mind. Very simply, perceptual mind then within its framework of a limitation defends itself from wholeness or eternity, of course. Of course. And that's where the conflict is. That's what he constructs in his limited framework. And the distance between his thoughts is conflictual, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that real? Hey, that's real. He's got thought forms out there that are literally attacking him because of his previous and future associations. We're bringing a lot together here. Those of you listening to this tape, I mean, if you can get it outside of your limited, incredibly limited associations of religion and philosophy, and pull it all together in a simple statement that you're speeding up time. Okay? The idea of evolution, the idea of movement from slowness to fastness is the whole idea of your mind, okay, bringing together the alpha and the omega, the cause and the effect. What a glorious notation if you could take a sentence that Jesus says, that no matter how tempted you are to believe it, finally cause and effect are not apart. That would step you out of what? Time, wouldn't it? Automatically. Okay. And the closer you bring together, the more responsibility you take for thought. The closer you bring the effects together with you, and the closer you get to eternity. This is all we really present to you. Your dilemma and the dilemma of the earth is the admission of this. But come on, I'm sitting right here in your dream sequence. The reason we call this a dream or an illusion or hallucination is it literally cannot be real. What you call the ego, and don't say that's not what you are, because it's what you are, as long as you're associating thoughts in time, cannot be real. It simply isn't. Never mind the idea, well, it is real, and then it works to do something. That's nonsense. If you're going to look at changing the quality of the thought form of time, you see immediately that it's not real and never was real. No matter what you do, you're not going to make it so. But that is not going to prevent you from being real and associating in any manner in you which you wish to associate it with. Yes. It's funny how the mind holds on to time and makes a prediction about its death. It says, I'm going to do it. It literally dies at that moment, but it can't see it. Do you see? If time is really not separate, if there's really no distance between cause and effect, it holds on to the tension between the two and simply has invented its own death. This is what I present to you. Death is your invention. How absurd. All you need do is simply say, I'm not going to die, and I won't die. In fact, all you need do is say, I believe you, teacher. You ready for that? You don't want to hear that. I'm telling you, you can't die. You can't finally sequence time. You insist that you can because you are the sequencing of the events, aren't you? Do you attack me when I present? Well, of course. You are attacking the notation of no death. But you can't die. You're not going to succeed in obliviating yourself. Let's not be absurd. You can make up all the inventions you want about going somewhere later on, coming back here. You can do anything you want with it within your own framework. The only time you could ever wake up and see your wholeness is now. And the notation that you are asleep can be very valuable to you. Everywhere you look, all you're seeing is your thought forms at some place within the fabric of the distance between the beginning and the end. Do you do that? Sure. And I'm telling you that you, individually, and only individually, in your whole mind power can transcend this. The forms that are around you literally have no meaning. Okay, this is a course in the transformation of your mind. Stop doing your limited genetic associations of falsity. This is the course at its nice new level for you. Jesus says your relationships are killing you. What else would kill you if you've constructed death? What kills you more readily than the forms you've established to retain your limited identity? Why is that so hard for you? The only way that you can come to know that, obviously, is by the relinquishment, okay, we're back into the teaching, or the non-defense of yourself in association with your determination to hold on to the limited state of consciousness. Does anybody out there not hear this? Oh, you hear it all right. You don't like it. All I really want you to do is make an obvious, simple choice between time and dying, okay, and life and living forever with love. Why should you have to lose something? Why do you defend your own demise? Can you hear me, you dummies? The reason I call you, I don't mean you're dummies. What I mean is you're dummies.
Yes.
What I mean is your eyes are not constructed to see. And any vocabulary that you have in response to this is designed to defend yourself. As Jesus said, you invented speech or babble at the Tower of Babel to keep from seeing the very obvious, that you're whole and beautiful. Huh? Now, if I'd offend you, that's okay. I'm sitting in the middle of your dream now. How are you going to get away from me? You can't. Huh? This is all over. Isn't that funny? But Jesus in the Course says the most you can say about the past is it's over and gone. If you'll understand that your future is your past, then the future will be gone. If that's gone, you can see immediately that all of this is gone. And now the sentence of Jesus, this whole world was over a long time ago, perhaps will begin to mean something to you, you dummies, in your own dream. I think I'm attacking you. I'm trying to shake you loose from your own perceptual poop. Excuse me, that's not a very scientific term. But everything that's constructed in the form has no meaning. Yeah. Jesus would say you put a frame around it, you gild it, and you give it credit. Yeah. This is lovely stuff. And it just rots on you. It just goes away. It stinks finally. And you keep burying it and worshiping what? Your death associations. Then you stand around the consciousness that you have killed with your own mind and bemoan the fact that it's dead. Would you care to look at that, funeral goers? Yeah? This is in the Course too. You gather around the bier and bitterly complain, okay, about the time that you have established for your own demise. How about this? Is the word insanity perhaps appropriate at this time? It's very early in the Course. How could you not observe the craziness and the nuttiness of the determination of a consciousness to intentionally inflict on himself sickness, pain, and death? Salvation obviously comes from my new certain mind that this is not real, so that I don't have to judge it in its limited associations with itself. You hear me? Come on, new minds. Huh? Is this a new teaching? Yeah. Is the earth real? Don't be absurd. Look at the relationship of where you are to the universe for just a moment. Huh? Now be happy that your mind is in this expansion. Jesus says, be a happy learner rather than trying to crunch down and listen to the calls of all of your previous murderous intents. These are the images and thought forms that you have sent out to bring you back the message that what I am teaching you cannot be true. Don't tell me you can't learn this Course, Jesus says. Don't tell me. You wrote it. But you wrote it in a different sequence of thoughts and have returned with me now for a moment to bring it into the focus of I'll use joint reality, the moment that we shared in true perception. Thank you. We're at God's country place, just kind of sitting here and talking about being out of time, which is where we really are. We've come just for a moment to remind you that you did awaken and are gone from here, and all of the torture and pain and death that you're feeling is absolutely no reality. I know this is difficult for you, but the necessity is that you accept my certainty that love and goodness and wholeness are real and forever, and they have no association at all with your perceptual mind of sickness, pain, and death. We hope we see you soon. Obvious to you why we teach this is forgiveness, real quickly, you psychologists. The idea that you would hold a separate thought form out from you and deny that you have created it in your own mind is what conflict is. Come on, everybody want to look at this? Who really wants to hear this? It would be obviously necessary for you then to change your mind about the form that you've put out there. The way you do that is by including it in with your own mind. Okay? This is a course in inclusion, not subtraction. It appears to be a course in meditation, okay, or quieting your mind in order to still it down in its concepts. But remember that mind is active all the time. Okay, this is a caprice creating going on in here. Okay, by stilling the sequencing of the time, the mind expands automatically. This is what we want you to do. The idea of practicing forgiveness will become real strange to you finally, because you'll see immediately that you've constructed sin out there in your you immediately forgive it and bring it into wholeness. And this is part of the teaching. This is what we want you to do with your mind. But the idea that you're going to practice that really doesn't make any sense. Why would it make sense? Okay. It'll change if you love it. Okay. The real problem that you have is that possession of thought form is what holds you in existence. And the idea that you must give in order to have is very difficult for you. Okay, all you really are is an expression of your conglomerate associations, your genetic memories. Okay, if you hold yourself in a distance between your thoughts, you will be possessed by the thoughts and will only squeeze out of your perceptions that associations within your own mind. Okay, the notation of giving then becomes imperative, so that you can come to see that having and being are the same thing. They're not separate. You don't really have thoughts, you are the thoughts. And this is what happens when whole mind comes whole. Okay? It begins to extend from itself its expanded identity. And finally, it simply becomes a single whole identity in the transformation of the mind. Okay? Nothing can be solved by conflict, obviously. Your idea is that conflict can be solved by balance, or taking your previous forms in a time framework. All you do is extend longevity. Okay. Eternity is not a long time, and you've done this for a very long time. The result of balance must be death, because it's the idea of duality, or that there really are separate thoughts. You listen to me. Okay. Number one, an idea never leaves its source. So every thought that you ever had as a source of it is contained within you. Number two, there are no such thing as separate thoughts. The only thoughts there could ever be are the thoughts that are emanating from your mind. Okay? We'll give a little more talk on this later on, but take a hold of that. So you don't look out and pretend you don't know something. You don't give construct to something and then deny that you know it and let it instruct you from its own limitation. This is what a relationship on earth is. Neither one of us know what we are. I'll deny you, you deny me, and we'll base our reality in time for just a moment on nothing and then die and mourn the fact that we don't have a solution to this. How absurd. Okay. Well, it's very hard to teach that not knowing is a denial. Okay? Yeah. It's a decision. You literally make a decision not to know. Who are you kidding? I know you better than that. I know you all perfectly. How would I not? Like, if you want to fit us somewhere in time, we have to fit somewhere in time, because you're a combination of light refractions or rays harmonizing in the sense of creating limitedly in a particular sequencing framework of time. We then come together, but we are only thought forms. I must know you completely. Am I meeting you in different phases of the fabric of time? Jesus says it's impossible to meet a stranger. Not only that, but if you meet him, you must have met him in an earlier and later framework. You like that. That's reincarnation. I'm telling you, you're carnated all the time. You never re-it. You only change it each moment. You like that? Somebody asked Jesus in the teacher's manual, is reincarnation valuable? Anything that would let you to know that the time, that life is continuous, is valuable, and the scribes immediately take a hold of it and practice their own death ritual in order to say, and then proclaim that the master says reincarnation is okay. That's nonsense. I tell you everything is okay until you change your mind about it. Dreamer of the dream. This reality is only your dream. It is not more than that, and you can step out of here at this moment by changing your thought form associations. Okay, moving mountains, like Master Jesus says, the least you can do. Why would you bother to do that? You're just reconfiguring the illusion within the limited framework. Can you do that? Oh, wow. You're doing it every moment. I'm teaching you to die now to live. Let go to live. Change the sequence and shorten the time. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let those that can hear hear. Do you hear this? That's why we keep saying that. Is that opening up in your mind now? Huh? Are you bringing together that perceptual disassociations of that distance in your own body brain? Are you undergoing a change to open up the Holy Spirit? We'll be back. We'll be back in just a minute. A couple more comments while this tape is still vital to me. Listen, here's the difficulty you have, and this is why we need places around the world like God's country place, a place where you can come and have the serenity of the disassociation from the conflict of the world. Okay? Obviously, if I looked at the clock now, I see that it's a particular time. That immediately places me in association with getting up this morning, going through the day, and ending the day to day. The next thing you know, you're planning for your pension and for your vacations. The idea that you can stop doing that is obviously not looked on with favor in a world that bases its reality on the passing of time and your termination. Why? You'll stop buying life insurance policies. Finally, what do? You stop sending your children to school in order to establish some sort of posterity so that when you're dead, they can go on living. Do you see why whole thought is attacked? Okay. Where do you seek solace for this attack, or that's inevitably going to come in the judgment of you and your previous associations? Hopefully, in this maturation of mind, there are other brothers, other teachers who are speeding up their time. This is what Jesus calls the circle of atonement. So that you then can come together, and there is value in your coming together, in the exchange of the energy-mind associations with this. Okay. So here's what you do. You begin with a positive admission that there's no way out of the dilemma of sequential time except by the relinquishment of the limited self. This is all fundamental initiation teaching. Okay. You make the admission to the necessity for transformation of your mind on an individual basis. Then let everything that you do each moment within this apparent sequencing be directed to this certain assertion, that, as Jesus would say in the Course, you can shorten time indefinitely. You can literally bring it to a close. Why? While you may not know that you have invented perception, you in fact have. And the admission that you have, since obviously you have the knowledge within your framework for a future reference use, why not use your future reference now and come whole in the sharing of that reality? If there is in fact an evolution of mind, and you have made the statement, why not make it a mutation and bring about the end to the glory and the realization that you never really left heaven? And that you're really here in glory now with the whole brotherhood. Is that individual? Sure. But we do understand. We know the dilemma of the associate phenomena of the miracle, which you're denying. You are seeing miracles now in this new framework of you happening all around you, and you are perforce made to deny them and forced back into the limited perception by your previous associations. Don't do it anymore. The heck with it. Now you have a legitimate choice whether to proceed along the human route to death or to step back, as Jesus would say, and say, no, there's a different way to look at this, and I'm going to find it. Then, more and more, you make that commitment. And each time you do, you come closer to when time ended, because remember, time ended when it began. And you are completing a journey that really never occurred. You're simply awakening. I'm awake. I'm in your dream. You can't possibly fit me into the sequencing. It's impossible. If you would accept that, it would be of great benefit to you. No matter what you do, you can deny me, you can attack me, you can admit to me, you can do anything you want, but I will not fit into your category, because I proclaim to you there is no such thing as this category. It's like I'm coming along and literally shaking you awake. Come on. I'm doing it with love and understanding. You're the one that has constructed these things you see, the sickness the pain. Why not just let it go? What are you afraid of? Love can only be letting go of fear. Is that the same as letting go of self? Hey, self is fear. Change that line to love is letting go of self. Wow. Simply giving up. Relinquish your defense mechanisms and remember the wholeness and love of universal consciousness. Remember, I just told you, I know you well. We all know each other perfectly. We are reminiscing about this and have come back for a moment in this fabric of dream to share in the atonement, to repair the rent of eternity that caused the momentary unreal schism for which you feel the guilt and responsibility, and that I share with you for just a moment. This is the atonement. This is the covenant, or the agreement that we shared. The acknowledgement of the horrendous error that never happened. Wake up and come on. We'll see you as we see you garbed in light. Let these changes happen to you. Let the miracle occur. Come on. Do you know that we could see you soon in person for just a moment? That our job in the atonement is to come into your minds? I can come into your mind right now. You can see that? If there aren't any separate thoughts, and the lovely idea, there's no real distance between us in time or space, that's impossible. I am with you always, even to the ends of the world. That's what I do. Why is that so hard for you? You're afraid of that. Boy, is that intimate. Don't get too close to me, like Jesus said. You let me walk alongside of you, but you're not going to really integrate me. Why? You become me. You simply would immediately spring into your own Christhood. That's what we teach, and that's really the declaration I'm making to you now. This has been a talk on time, but we can't talk about time without talking about eternity, because they are opposites. And as long as there's a possibility of opposites in your mind, remember, though, that they don't communicate at all. Associate thoughts do not communicate with reality, because reality is a single thought of the creation of a whole mind. We call him God. He made you perfectly within the total image that has nothing to do with the sequential notations that you have about yourself. Wake up, dear people. Wake up. We love you. We'll see you soon. Reach up and come to your light for just a moment. Come to your light. This is your assignment. Be happy. You're free. Be free. Wow. That's it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you soon. That will be probably, if you are interested to join the solstice, the summer solstice moment together. So you're welcome to join, of course, and that would be great. So take your poetry, your music, your performance, your silence, your joy, your happiness, and we're going to have a wonderful blast over time. So thank you for everything for today, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.